Start the recording. Before we actually get started with our practice and conversation today, I want to first say a word of thank you to Rachel Abraham, who's here. I just got back from a long silent retreat in upstate New York, and 2 weeks ago, Rachel was kind enough to share her teaching skills with our gathering here. So thank you so much for that, Rachel. And I should tell you, Rachel is a MBSR teacher in training and a registered yoga teacher. And she thankfully works with us at the Mindfulness Center of Atlanta, but she's also doing a lot of other great work in the world. So you can find her bio on our website as well. Last week we took an actual pause. So Rachel taught 2 weeks ago, and then we just took a week off as I was traveling that day. I didn't think it would be good to try to do this from 30,000 feet. But here we are again today, and it's wonderful to be back in your company. And so I want to begin this time together. As we know, if you have any experience with mindfulness, you sort of know at least what we use as kind of the standard definition that we take from Jon Kabat-Zinn's work, that mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and without judgment. And traditionally, the practice of paying attention, especially this kind of intentional paying attention, traditionally involves the adoption of using a kind of an anchor point to bring the attention back to when you notice the mind going off. A very common one is the breath, and returning the mind to the breath is one way of cultivating this present moment awareness. Your mind wanders, you bring it back to that focal point in the present. I want to do a practice today that experiments a little bit using a focal point. And then what if we also started holding attention not only on one particular focal point like the breath, but instead we work towards simply resting in awareness itself without actually getting involved in choosing an anchor point. This not choosing, not limiting the attention to one single point of focus is it's called different things in different traditions, but it's some form of what we might call objectless awareness, that we're not really fixing the attention on one single point of focus. And objectless awareness involves this kind of shifting of the focus from objects of attention. You can kind of cycle through, pay attention to the breath, pay attention to emotions or thoughts that are showing up, pay attention to sounds in the environment in the present moment. And in short, we use our senses to kind of key in on these different objects of awareness. But really, objectless awareness is about kind of cultivating a state of being present without kind of grasping on or focusing on any particular content. And that can help us to develop this truly open and receptive kind of presence, which can also lead to calmness and even more deep insight if we're not being pulled about or working hard at fixing our attention. So today we'll practice a little bit of objectless awareness. And we'll start by noticing a particular object. We'll start with the breath in our field of awareness, and then we'll go on to kind of expand that awareness to include things like body sensations and sounds. And so doing, we're cultivating this ability to kind of fluidly shift between various objects of awareness. And then we'll move into this just a little touch maybe of just being aware of whatever comes up and not looking for anything in particular. So this objectless awareness is a way of practicing being receptive and open to whatever presents and paying attention to whatever unfolds moment by moment without engaging in that usual kind of subject object duality of mind. So, like if we're focusing on an object, then we're also aware of us focusing on it. And so, this practice helps us to kind of just for the moment maybe lay some of that aside and not get caught in that kind of it's me noticing it, you know. So let's try it, and then we'll have a opportunity for sharing around that as well. So let's begin by just tuning into the posture and adopting on your own some posture that supports a sense of groundedness or relative groundedness and relative ease and also wakefulness. So, whatever that means for you, maybe getting your feet flat on the floor or adjusting yourself in the seat, whether you're on the floor or in a chair, and then lengthening up through the spine and maybe leveling the head so that there's also this sense of upright wakefulness. Of course, you do this to whatever degree is okay for you and your body in this moment. And we'll start by noticing a particular object of awareness, the breath, tuning into the natural breath, no need for manipulating it. And in a sense, watching the inhalation fully and the exhalation fully and feeling the breath in the body. And each time you notice that the mind is no longer on the breath, just see where it is, see where the mind is, and then let go and come back to the breath. And as we go through this meditation, we kind of move it around a little bit, the objects of awareness. And if that gets a little too confusing or abstract or anything, you can always come back to the breath as a kind of reliable present moment anchor. Yeah, notice where the mind is. You can make a note the mind is caught up in and then gently let it go and come back to the breath in this moment, no matter what it is that is showing up. And now let's expand that field of awareness around the breathing and the sensations of breathing, in the chest and the belly. And let's also allow our awareness to notice a sense of the body as a whole sitting here. So we're aware of the breath and we're aware of the sensations of breathing, air moving in and out, and the particular parts of the body that tend to move with that. And then also expanding out to notice the entirety of the body, just sitting here breathing. And when the mind wanders, just bring it back to a sense of sitting and breathing in this body, in this moment. And let's engage another sense now for paying attention, for noticing. Turning the attention to sound. Just listening to sound, not listening for sounds, not going out and searching for sounds or deciding on a good sound, but rather just hearing what's actually here to be heard in this moment. And doing your best to do so without judging or thinking about the sound, trying to identify or analyze or like or dislike. Letting go of all that as best you can. And just hearing the pure sound as it is, and hearing even the silences within and in between sounds. Or these sounds may be external, like in the room or down the hall or outside. Or these sounds may also be internal, the sound of a grumbling stomach or the sound of the breath. But whatever sound presents itself in this moment, moment by moment, and without you needing to go out and search for it, just instead sitting still and allowing the sounds to arrive, to come into your awareness moment by moment. Finally, now let's just sit, not holding on to anything, not looking for anything in particular, not paying attention to anything in particular. Just practicing being completely open and receptive to whatever comes into your field of awareness, a sound, a thought, the breath, feeling in the body, and letting it all come and go, and just watching and witnessing in a kind of stillness, this objectless awareness that invites a state of being that's present without effort or judgment. We're just sitting, and the attention is on the present moment without clinging to any particular thought, sensation, or anything else. The term objectless suggests that in this state there's no specific object of attention, but rather an awareness. And you could say an awareness of awareness, and one that is open, receptive to whatever arises. And continuing this practice as best you can of this objectless awareness until you hear the sound of the bell. Here's a poem by Wendell Berry called The Silence. Though the air is full of singing, my head is loud with the labor of words. Though the season is rich with fruit, my tongue hungers for the sweet of speech. Though the beach is golden, I cannot stand beside it mute, but must say it is golden, while the leaves stir and fall with a sound that is not a name. It is in the silence that my hope is and my aim, a song whose lines I cannot make or sing.